Millionaires are so last season, no one wants to talk about them anymore. No, it's 2022 now, and it's time for billionaires to be high on our agenda, and that's exactly the theme of the new show from Apple TV+. We've got a comedy on our hands, we're talking loot.
Happy birthday, baby. What do you think of your new boat?
I'll tell you when I actually step foot on it. Looks a little small.
The past few months has been a dark time.
Molly, what are you doing in here?
Haley, in our bedroom?
I can explain.
Was she even born when we graduated college?
Actually, she was one.
Oh!
Molly?
I want a divorce.
Hello and welcome to Screen OD. I hope you're having a good day. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, my name is Tim. I'm an editor and a journalist who has been writing and talking about TV, entertainment and generally the media industry for, well, about 15 years now. If you're not new to the channel, you know all that already, so I'll probably just stop talking. But could I ask one favour from all the subscribers? Please let the newbies know how good it is being a subscriber to Screen OD. You get all the best content direct to your feed. If you do subscribe today and you're new, please put in the comments below, I subscribed, so I can say hi and we can find out a little bit more about what sort of TV and movies you like. Right, today we've got a treat for you in the shape of Loot, which is the new comedy from Apple TV+. Now, Apple TV have been making some great content over the last few months, but it's mainly been in the drama category. Now, they had a standout hit in the shape of Ted Lasso a few years ago, which went on to win Primetime Emmys and critical and public acclaim. Now, with Loot, can they do it again? Well, let's find out. Okay, so what's this all about? Well, you may guess from the title, Loot, that this is a show about money. And not just a little bit of money, a lot of money. As we meet Molly Novak at the beginning of the show, she is married to John, who is a tech CEO of some sort, and they have billions of dollars, it turns out, and it's her birthday at the beginning of the show, and she is receiving the small sum of a giga yacht, which I believe means a very, very big yacht, and when you see it, you'll know what I mean by very big yacht, as a present. She's also having a birthday party in a house on the edge of the hills, which would make the cast of Selling Sunset weep. It would make them look like they were selling shoe boxes, because this is a big property. And at this big party, a discovery is made by Molly Novak, which is that her husband John is having an affair. Suddenly, everything in her life is about to change, because she is going to divorce him and she is going to go on her own journey. And so the setup is there for a TV comedy about someone whose life is changing at a very fast pace. After the divorce, it turns out that Molly is left with a mere $87 billion as part of the settlement with her husband, and she is, well, she's frankly at a bit of a loose end, and she goes on a bit of a rampage around the world with drink and drugs and excess, and she's trying to find herself and find her way. But one thing she does eventually start to find is that at some point in her past, she set up a charitable foundation, and there's a whole structure in her name that she didn't really know about, and that's where the story really begins to take shape, because she becomes involved with that charitable foundation, which, as we find out, doesn't work out quite as well as perhaps she might like. The issue here is that she has been a billionaire for a long time. She's become relatively selfish and quite vacuous, and it's fair to say pretty out of touch with the real world. And so that's not necessarily the front person you want for a charitable foundation that is trying to help people who are in real need. And we see quite quickly with some of her behavior and also some of the speeches she gives at some of these events that there's a bit of a mismatch when she comes to start spending time with her foundation. Running the foundation is a no-nonsense character, Sofia, who has been doing it for a long time and in fact doesn't seem to have had any real interaction with Molly during the period of running this. She's someone who's very passionate about helping people who are in need, and she pretty quickly starts to try and put Molly in place. There's a natural comic tension that is built through this relationship, and we start to see Molly's character go on a journey of discovery about what it really means to help people and what it really means to find yourself when you seemingly have everything.
Hi there.
Let's be honest, you only showed up today because you got divorced.
I never did the work to find out who I am. It's really, really scary.
I'm sorry, I don't really care about any of that.
Wow, when I said that to Oprah, she gave me one of the biggest hugs.
Molly is also surrounded by yes people like her faithful assistant Nicholas, which makes the challenge even harder when it comes to changing and becoming a better person. And therefore we have a comedy setup. We have a setup of someone who is rich and out of touch, who is being challenged by the real world and by people who are actually trying to do some good. She listens to the people she trusts, but she should trust the people that she doesn't listen to. What will happen next? Well, what happens next is you got yourself a lot of laughs. At the heart of this show is a fantastic performance from Maya Rudolph, who plays Molly, and she does this in an excellent comedic performance. And as you'll know as a fan of comedy, I'm sure that the greatest comedy shows have to have more to them than just laughs. There has to be a depth to the characters, to the leads that draws you in, that makes you care about what happens to them. And that's particularly difficult when you're playing someone who's a multi-billionaire, because, you know, who cares about the poor little rich kid? Well, in this case, you get a performance from Maya Rudolph that does draw you in, that does show enough emotion, that shows enough inadequacies in her and her life and this kind of search for something beyond money, that you do start to care and you do start to think, I wonder what's going to happen next. And you start to root for her, which is at the root of all great comedy. And this has definitely that at the heart of it. It also has quite a lot of the silliness that you like to see in great sitcoms, that you like to see from the great central sitcom characters in these American shows. I mentioned earlier Ted Lasso, which I'm sure that Apple would be hoping that this would have a similar level of success to. There is that kind of hopeful level to it, but there's also that central character there who has enough silliness, has not quite got enough self-awareness that they can understand why they're making things go wrong. You can also see shades of some of those great NBC comedies of the last few decades in America in it as well. Some of those central characters, like in The Office, where, you know, Michael Scott, there's that feeling of there's a sense that everything he does makes things worse. And, you know, again, with Leslie Knope in Parks and Recreation, there's a little bit of all of that in the central character of Molly, which I think is carried brilliantly by Maya Rudolph's performance. Incidentally, Molly's ex-husband in the show is played by Adam Scott, who many of you may know at the moment from Apple TV's excellent Severance, which if you don't know anything about, go and watch the full review there. And you can also find shows that are like it up there. It's great. It's one of the best shows that's been made in the last few years. Do go and watch it. Now, he's not a big part in the show, but he, as you will remember, was in The Good Place in a relatively small role a few years ago. And so was Maya Rudolph, who plays Molly. She was in a small role in The Good Place, and there's a sort of sense of The Good Place about this show. Obviously it's not about the afterlife, and there are less kind of philosophical questions in it, but there is a kind of sense of redemption story. There's a sense of, you know, the way that Eleanor Shoestrop is going through this redemption story in The Good Life. There is something of that about what is going on in Molly's life in this show. And so I think if you're a fan of American sitcoms and you're a fan of shows that have a little bit of a message behind them, as well as having laughs and create an atmosphere, a world that you want to be part of, and characters that you feel that you can become attached to and go on a journey with, then I think this is a comedy that you should start watching, well, pretty much now, I guess. On top of Maya Rudolph's performance, one that's really worth looking out for is that from Michaela Jaé Rodriguez, who plays Sofia, who runs the foundation. She is that classic kind of deadpan character at the center of the show that you need to make a comedy work like this. You can't have all of the characters going off on their kind of whimsical journeys like you do with Molly. You need someone to rein them in, but you also need someone to be a kind of rock at the center of the show. And she plays this role brilliantly and really, really draws you into this world of someone who cares about what's going on and is going to lead Molly's character on a journey throughout the series to learn more about herself. And there'll be, you know, a lot of laughs coming from this mismatched kind of odd couple relationship. Right, so I think that's just about enough recommendation. Now you've just got one thing left to do, and that is go and watch Loot. It's available wherever you are on Apple TV Plus right now. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, write in the comments below what you thought of the series. Don't forget to like the video if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching Screen OD. We'll see you again very soon.